Welcome. This video is part of a series provided by Miami-Dade College Learning Resources to help with the transition to remote tutoring through Blackboard Collaborate Ultra. In this video, we're going to focus on the tutor's role, from how to enter a session, how to work in breakout groups, and how to use different functionalities within the platform to best assist students. The first option that we have is using the Mdc Tutoring Libguide. This libguide is already accessible through all Blackboard web-enhanced virtual and blended courses on their left nav bar of the course. Another way to access this might be a link that's been provided to you by lab managers, area leads, faculty, and chairs. Lastly, we will also have links available through the Mdc Learning Resources page. Through the LibGuide, we can see that we're directing our students to access remote learning through the tabs listed above. Simply click on the campus that you work with, and you'll see a list of tutoring areas. Please note that while each has an individual link, they may go to a similar room. For example, at Hialeah, all of our tutoring happens in one place, so we created one session. So any link you click on will bring you to the same session. However, at another campus, like Padrone, some tutoring happens in their learning commons while others happen in separate rooms. Those physical rooms will most likely match a virtual room. When I click to join the Blackboard Collaborate session, it will first ask me to identify myself. It's really important that you put your name followed by tutor. This is helpful both for administrators and for students to know who you are and what your role is here. Once I've joined the session, I'll see the main screen that students also see when arriving. This provides hours of operation and basic direction for students to how to meet with a tutor. We'll go over some of these in a minute. What I want to first show you are some of the features that are available. First and foremost, we have our Open Session menu. When I click Open Session menu, I have a variety of choices here, but the main one I want to point out is how to leave our session. At the end of your shift, this is how you'll exit the session and make sure you've left. On the bottom right-hand side, I have our Collaborate panel. Our Collaborate panel has a variety of tools. It has a chat room, attendees, share content, and settings. These first three tabs are the most important for what we're doing on a day-to-day basis. When I first enter the chat, you can see that the only chat I have available is everyone. Right now I'm in the role of participant. I can also see that when I click on attendees. April Gaddis is our full-time moderator. She's an associate director at the campus, and so her role is to kind of act as a switchboard operator and make sure that everybody has the correct role and is being paired up appropriately. April's going to see through the attendees that I've entered and go ahead and give me moderator access. I need to be made a moderator so that I can use all of the different tools that this platform allows us to use. I also see that there are currently participants in there. Christina and Naris are going to act as students for us so that we can see what it's like to go through this whole system. I now also see back on chat that we have a moderator chat that's been open. This moderator chat is where I'm going to spend most of my time hanging out just to wait to work with students. Now, as you can see, Naris has raised her hand. Just as the directions on the screen identify when a student enters, they need to raise their hand to make sure we know that they need some help. This is done through the bottom of the screen where the raise hand icon is located. During this time, April, our associate director and lead full-time moderator of our room, is currently reaching out to Naris. She'll go ahead and lower the hand to make sure we know that she's currently working with the student. And in a private message, she's reaching out to see what that student needs help with. While I'm in the moderator room, after April has finished reaching out to the student, she'll go ahead and enter a text here to let us know what area that student needs help with. So I see April commented that the student, Naris, needs help with ENC 1101. Well, I'm a writing tutor, so I can work with that student. Let me respond. As soon as I've claimed the student, April's now going to create a breakout session. Just to show you what that looks like, let me go through the steps. In Share Content, at the very bottom of the screen, we see Breakout Groups. When I click on Breakout Groups, I want to custom assign specific students to meet with specific tutors. I can see everyone that's currently in the main room and that we have subgroups that are available. What April's doing right now is renaming one of the groups with my name and my area. This helps to organize the different sessions so that we can make sure that the correct people are placed with the correct tutors. Pairing up students with tutors is super simple. All we need to do is click on the tutor or student's name and drag their name to the appropriate room. You can see that I've put Neris and myself in a room together. I'm now currently in one of the breakout groups with Neris. I can see here Caitlin R. is with Neris. When I go back over to chat and I go out to my main chats, I can also see I have a new chat available for just my group. From here, I can reach out to Neris. Hi Neris. How can I help you? Neris will then respond back to me through text here. There are a couple ways for me to communicate with a tutor. In this version with this student, we're primarily going to use our text box, but just to show you, at the bottom of the screen, I do have the ability to share audio, which when I click turns green, and I can see that Neris has turned her audio on as well because the microphone is next to her name. So even if you can't hear her, trust me, I can. I also have the ability to share video. By sharing video, it shares my webcam if I have one accessible to meet with a student. Feel free to share video and make sure that students feel comfortable as long as you feel comfortable with that. So Neris needs help with an argumentative essay and she wants me to look at her outline. I can easily have her do this by sharing her document with me. Let me let her know. So I'm letting Neris know she can share the file using the Share Content button at the bottom of the chat box. Just to show you, when I click Share Content, I get a series of options. I can share a blank whiteboard, which puts a whiteboard on the main screen. I can share application, which we'll talk about in a little bit, or I can share files by adding files and uploading them. Just so you can see from the Share File site, students can only upload an image, a PowerPoint, or a PDF file. This means students cannot upload Word docs or Excel files. Please make sure you inform them if they're having a hard time that they can save their file as a PDF file in the Save menu of Microsoft. I now see how Neris has shared her file with me and it shows on the main screen. From here, I can use my whiteboard tools like drawing to underline, cross out, give something a great star. I can change my colors, especially if we're focusing on one thing in one area, but something else in another. I also have the ability to add shapes, and if needed, move that shape somewhere else. I can also point out simple things to make sure that the tutor is following along with what I'm saying. If the document is larger than one page, at the bottom of the screen you'll see that there are buttons that let you scroll from page to page. But since this is one page, we just have one to work on. One note for you. The eraser button is super helpful to clear our screen, but please note, it clears the entire screen. If there's something that you doodled on the page by accident, just know I can click on Select, take that drawing, and just move it out of the way. Going back to the chat option, when our session is completed, I can make sure to touch base with the student to see if there's anything else I can help the student with. If the student's set, I can send a parting comment. Thanks for joining us. Please feel free to come back if you have another question. And if needed, I can direct the student again to click on the Open Session menu and to leave the session at the bottom of the screen. But not you. You got to stick around a little bit longer. If for some reason the student has more questions, we can always move them back to the main room. We'll talk about that in a little bit. I can see now that Neris has left the session. Her name is italicized and it shows that she's exited. At this point, I'm the only one in the room. I can stop sharing using the stop button at the top right hand side of the screen to leave the screen blank. I have the option to stay in the room and wait for a new student to come, but I do always want to make sure when I go back to the moderator room, just to wait again for another student to come in. If I want to go back to the main room, I can also do that. In order to go back to the main room, I want to click on Share Content, go into our breakout groups, and move myself back to the main room by clicking on my name and dragging myself to the main room. the bottom of the screen, I'm going to click Update, and you'll see that I'm currently being moved back to our main room. One thing to note when you're in the breakout groups is the stop button at the top of the screen. This ends breakout groups, and that means everyone's breakout group. To avoid stopping sessions that are currently happening, don't click this. If you need to move to the main room, you can do so again through Share Content and clicking and dragging your name back to the main room. Now let's look at another feature that's available, sharing screen. So we have another student that's available, Christina. When Christina needs to meet with a tutor, she's going to raise her hand. At this point, April has been notified that another student needs help and she will be working with a student. Also, just to let you know, if I was still waiting in my breakout room, I won't see a raised hand or see other interactions that are happening in the main room because it's keeping me focused on what I'm working on. If for some reason we have a multitude of students, you might see that the moderator messages you privately to let you know that other students are waiting, but you won't be interrupted in your session by raised hands or comments that are happening in a main room. For this situation, Christina's going to need help with a different discipline, so we're going to take off our writing hat and add a new one. So Christina needs help with pivot tables. So that's definitely an NTech tutor role. So in this situation, let's pretend we're NTech tutors. At this point, April will create a new breakout room with Christina and me so that we can work on her pivot tables. So now that Christina and I are in the same room together, I want to go to my previous panel and enter the room that was set up for the two of us. Again, I can reach out and see what she needs help with. In this situation, it's going to be a lot easier for us to share a screen so I can walk Christina through the various steps it takes to set up this pivot table. So let me ask for her to share her screen. If you need to direct the student with the next steps of how to do this, you just need to click on Share Content and direct the student to click Share Application Screen, where they will then be able to share a variety of screens that are available to them. I can now see Christina's screen, the Excel file she's working on, and even the Collaborate session that we're in together. Please note that a situation like this might be really helpful to transition to using our audio instead of our chat, especially that I can direct the student with a step-by-step using my voice and help with some of those little nuanced things, especially that are available or needed in Excel. So I'm going to turn my audio on so that Christina can hear me. Hey Christina, so our first step in creating a pivot table is to turn the data set that you have there into a table. In order to do that, go ahead and select the entire data set by clicking in A1 and dragging your cursor to highlight all of the data. Great. Now that you've done that, click on Format Table, which is in the top ribbon. A little bit higher, perfect. You can choose any of those themes you want. We really just want to make sure it's set as a table. And then go ahead and click OK. Perfect. Now if you can just click on any of the individual cells within that table, we're going to go ahead and create our pivot table. So at the top of the screen, do you see where it says Insert? Great. Go ahead and click on that. And all the way to the left, we're going to click on Pivot Table. Since we want it in a new worksheet, we can leave this as is and just click OK. You can see how this works a lot better using audio, especially as we have a lot of different things that are happening within Excel. There are times where you're just trying to tell the student a little bit higher or a little bit to the left, and that's definitely easier through audio. So I highly encourage you to utilize that Share Audio option at the bottom of your screen. So we've gone over how to use Share Application or Share Screen, and also how to share files. The last option we have is Whiteboard, and I do want to show you briefly. When I click on Share Content, I can click on Share Blank Whiteboard, and I'll have a whiteboard available that's only for my breakout group. The same features that we discussed before with the shared file are still applicable. I have a pointer, I can draw, and I can write text. The nice thing is our student can also do those features as well. The student can write back so that we can have a shared place. They can write text on there, but everything that the student does on their side, I can see on the shared whiteboard. Christina, can you go ahead and write something there? Awesome. So, just to show you one last thing, a lot of our students sometimes need help with more than one tutoring area. So if I ask the student if there's anything else I need help with, or that they need help with, and the student says, yeah, I need help with writing, I can let the student know that I'm going to move them back to the main room so they can repeat the process that they previously did when they first entered. In order to do that, I'm going to click on Share Content, Breakout Groups, and I'm going to click on Christina's name and drag her back into the main room. I can choose to join her, or I can stay here. If I'm here, I will click Update, and it'll move Christina back, but I'm still in the same space. Now, at the end of your shift, you need to make sure you let your moderators know that you're heading out. That can easily be done back in our moderator chat. When I go into moderators, I can just let April know that my shift is ending. It also lets your other staff members know too, just so they can better manage and navigate who's available at what time. Once my shift is over, I'll simply click on the session menu and leave my session. And that's it. If you have any questions, please reach out to those full-time staff members within your area for direction and tips. And keep an eye out for more videos that could help provide tips and tricks to working with students. Thanks for joining. Bye.